Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video is all about the top 5 items that I think will add to your luxury collection to enrich it and make it better and more extra and more unique. So this video is for those of you who may have already started a luxury collection and you have a few classic and neutral items that are timeless, but you are looking to broaden your horizon to make your collection a little bit more exciting. And of course, take this video with a grain of salt because everyone's taste is different and you didn't really start with classic items. But I do find that the majority of people who start their collections often start out by collecting a few classic timeless pieces in the more neutral colors, and then they venture out to more exciting colors or different types of items. So starting with the first on the list is of course a good pop of color handbag. So the pop of color handbag needs to be in your kind of color that will work with your whole wardrobe. Pretty much have a look at your wardrobe and work out what type of color will go perfectly with a lot of outfits that you wear. So a red is a really good color because it is one of the primary colors. So it's meant to go with a lot more colors. So red goes with the denim, so blue tones. It goes with, of course, white, black, and beige, even gray. I mean, red goes with a lot of colors. So I do definitely recommend that if your collection mostly consists of sort of neutral colors, because you wanted to start your collection with the safe colors that are easier to match, then I do recommend venturing out into a really bright color like this red color. So this is my Louis Vuitton Alma BB in the Epi Leather Coquelicot color. Those of you who might have watched my videos for a while already know how much I've talked about this bag. I absolutely love this pop color. Oh, and by the way, if you're new here on my channel, I am so glad you're here. I'm Isabelle and I love luxury and fashion. So if you do too, consider subscribing to my channel so we can be friends here. But anyway, the other good pops of colors like blue, and I personally really like the pinky purple colors because I do love the blue undertone in the purpley pink colors. That makes these bags so easy to match with your outfits because blue is another primary color that surprisingly goes with a lot of different colors in the color chart as well. So if your luxury handbag collection has a lot of blacks or browns or neutrals, definitely consider adding a pop of color to your collection. Second on my list is something a bit more niche in terms of the brand. So a lot of us start with the safe fashion houses like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and even Hermes, Saint Laurent, Gucci, Fendi. These are really well-known houses that have really big presence on the social media and they are very popular, which is probably the reason why a lot of us start our collections with those fashion houses. But once you have a few items from these major fashion houses, I do definitely recommend looking into adding something from a more niche brand. And I think you can already guess what I'm going to talk about, and it is something like Fauré Le Page. It is a French fashion house with really impeccable craftsmanship. A bag like this costs very similar to Louis Vuitton canvas bags because this is also a canvas material bag with some leather trims and handles. But I do definitely think that when you see one of these handbags, if you don't already know the brand, you can't always tell what it is, but you can kind of tell by looking at the details and the finishing that it is quite luxurious. So that is one great example to make your collection a bit more varied. The other example that I'm going to show you is my beloved Loewe puzzle bag. So this is probably a little bit more common and you probably see Loewe bags a little bit more commonly on social media and even, out and about than the Fauré Le Page. But again, these are very subtle. They don't have big logos. So if you haven't really had the interest in these luxury fashion houses, you wouldn't necessarily recognize it. So something like this with a very subtle logo, but with excellent craftsmanship is another example that will really greatly make your collection a bit more interesting. And of course, you don't just buy handbags, right? So the other category of luxury goods that we buy a lot are shoes. So when we think designer shoes, we think of, again, Chanel shoes, Louis Vuitton shoes, Hermes shoes. We see them so much everywhere, and because we see them more, we probably start our collections with, items that we see more, that we are more familiar with. But at least for me, I didn't know a lot about the more subtle, understated brands like Roger Vivier here. They are very famous for their satin heels with the crystal buckle at the front. I'm not a huge fan of those because they're just too much bling, but I absolutely love their simple pump line, which is this sort of a line. They do amazing colors. They just look so elegant. And again, because of the lack of large logos or monogramming, you can't really notice this straight away as a designer pair of shoes. But if you already have a couple of pairs of Chanel shoes and Louis Vuitton shoes and whatnot, consider something like this that you know is really well made, very elegant, and yes, something that can broaden your shoe collection as well. The next category that I'm going to talk about is fine jewelry. Often when we first start our luxury collections, we buy a lot of costume jewelry. At least that's the trend that I'm seeing with a lot of collectors, starting out, myself included. So you can think of the Chanel earrings, Chanel brooches, necklaces, you name it. I do have a few of those as well, which I absolutely adore. But these are made with non-precious metals, with non-precious stones and imitation pearls. And I do definitely think that there is value in adding fine jewelry to your collection, which means these pieces are actually made with precious metals, precious stones, that these are forever pieces because they won't tarnish or change colors or, you know, have things fall out of them. So I have a couple of examples. I myself am very new to the luxury fine jewelry world, so I have just started collecting and I've got 3 items in my collection that I absolutely love. So allow me to share with you the few items that I bought that are actually quite reasonably priced if you think about the cost of the costume jewelry. So one is this beautiful, excuse my nails, I haven't done my nails for a little while because I haven't been going to the salon and I've been lazy doing them myself. But yeah, this is my 18 karat rose gold ring, the Collier de Chêne ring from Hermes, and I absolutely love the details of it, and it just gives me great comfort to know that this is not going to change. I can just wash my hands while I have it on. It's not going to tarnish. Another piece that I wear on a pretty much daily basis is my Cartier necklace. I'm just going to come closer to show you. So it's a very simple necklace from Cartier. It's just on this beautiful white gold chain with this little diamond. I believe it was 1/4 of a carat, so very dainty and very appropriate for everyday wear. I do have an unboxing video on this. This is my very first and only Cartier piece in my collection. I'm wanting to add more, but that is a story for another day. And the other piece of fine jewelry that I do recommend would be something like this. So this is my Van Cleef & Arpels Alhambra necklace in the vintage size, with the mother of pearl precious stone in the middle on 18 karat yellow gold. So these pieces, of course, they cost more than costume jewelry, but this Van Cleef necklace here was 3,600 Australian dollars when I purchased it last year. The Cartier necklace was 4,000, and my CDC ring from Hermes, which is solid rose gold, was 2,500. So in terms of luxury currency, for things that are gonna last you a lifetime, I don't think that's bad at all, because Chanel's costume jewelry earrings sometimes, you know, sell for almost 2,000 Australian dollars, and these are just made with base metals, like nickel-free metals probably. So yeah, I do definitely think that it is a really nice way to expand your luxury collection, to add some pieces of fine jewelry that you will be able to wear every single day. The next category that I think will enrich your luxury collection is a premium line item from a luxury designer that you really love. Every designer will have their entry-level items. For example, for Louis Vuitton, that will be your canvas bags like the Neverfull and the Speedy, and they'll have their mid-range, which for Louis Vuitton will be their more pricey leather bags, and then they will often have a premium range, which costs a lot more than the entry and mid-range items, but you can just tell the difference in the quality. So a great example here is my Louis Vuitton Capucines bag. This is in the size BB in the color Gallet. And the Capucines line is one of Louis Vuitton's premium lines. And I find that when we start our collections, we don't necessarily see the value in spending that much more for a premium line bag or anything. But after we have a few entry-level items and a few mid-range items in our collections, we do end up considering something a little bit more premium. But when you do go for that higher end item, I do recommend that you stick with a brand that you actually really like, that you've tried out already. So in my luxury collecting years, of course, I've tried out Louis Vuitton's entry-level bags, mid-range bags, and I was just ready to add something really extra special to my collection. And some of you guys might say, well, the capucines is so common. Yes, that may be true, but I also think that Instagram and social media gives us that illusion that everybody and their mothers have these bags, because they don't. You just see them so saturated on social media, but in real life, you definitely don't see some of these things that we see all the time on social media nearly as much. So with the premium line from a designer, you can definitely tell the difference in how they're made from their other items, the attention to detail, the material, the way it's finished and designed. You can definitely appreciate the work and the art that goes into making one of these things. And if you are someone who collects luxury, I am sure that you'll be able to appreciate that. Once you have these few extra items in your collection as well as your classic items, the last thing I would recommend adding to a collection would be something really trendy. So trendy items can be really trendy handbags, like your Dior saddle bag, like the Bottega Veneta pouch bag, those newer designs that haven't really been around but are really popular at the moment. And if you really love the style, these items will be really great items to add to your collection. But with trendy items, I do recommend keeping the budget in mind. So with your classic items, even if they cost quite a bit, you know that they are going to be in fashion and be around and stay relevant for a really long time to come, so you can enjoy the items for probably decades to come. So that doesn't make the cost of the item so bad, even if you are spending a lot of money. Like, I spent a lot of money on my Hermes Kelly bag, but it is one of those classic bags that have been around for a long time, that have been in demand for a long time, so I actually don't have a problem with spending more on classic items. But when it comes to trend bags, of course, if you have lots of money to spare, then you can ignore this advice. But for us mortals who work actually hard for our money, I do recommend sticking with a budget that you are comfortable with. So for example, I once owned a Gucci Marmont mini camera bag, and the reason I went for the camera bag in the mini size is because I wanted to add an item from the Gucci Marmont line, but a lot of their flap bags and other tote bags were $2,000 to $3,000 Australian, and I wasn't really prepared to spend that much money on a trend item that might just die down. So the mini camera bag that I purchased was just over 1,000 Australian dollars at the time, and I was actually personally comfortable with, you know, using that bag for the next even 2 years while it's still really hot and trendy. And even if I didn't resell it or stopped using it after 2 years, the cost per wear I was comfortable with. So that will be my biggest tip when it comes to adding a trendy item. But I do definitely think that it is a really fun way to vary your collection once you've got all the classics covered. Yes, go for that crazy pop of color. Go for that crazy trend item, as long as you're comfortable with spending that kind of money for something that you may not use for a really long time. So these were just a few items that I think are great things to add to your collection to make it a bit more varied and interesting. I also have a whole video on 5 key designer items to start your collection with. So if you're interested in that video, I'll have that video on screen, and another one that I recently uploaded on screen as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. As always, thank you so much for watching and spending some of your precious time with me today, and I can't wait to see you again soon in my next video. Bye guys!